It's been exactly 2 years since I sat at this wall behind me at Joe's Coffee on South Congress here in Austin, Texas, and I showed you this video. That video is whether or not you should buy a home for cash flow or equity when investing in your Airbnb business. And you know what I told you in this little video right here? Was to not buy a home when you invest in an Airbnb business and do something called rental arbitrage. Now what I want to give you today is 2 years later, from this wall to this wall again, what was my growth like running an Airbnb business while not owning any property? What were some of my challenges? How big did I get? Let's look at my numbers and see in 2 years, what can you do in rental arbitrage?
This really is going to be an interesting video. I'm going to show you inside of my Airbnb accounts. We're going to look at how much I've made. We're going to start in 2017 when I made this video, and we're going to look at today. It's a turn of the new decade. We're about to enter 2020, so I wanted to give you guys kind of a full scope here. And before we get into the numbers, I would like to ask you to like this video. It really does help the video perform. And if you contribute in the comments and make this a conversation, that'll help too. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this video in the comments, especially you current hosts who are hosting. I'd like your feedback because some of you have been around here for a couple years. So this video, by the end of it, I really hope to give you a good context for the potential of Airbnb. The goal of this YouTube channel has always been to kind of prove something. And my growth for this business over the last couple of years has just been in line with that. And a lot of you have asked, why do I do what I do? Why do I put all this information free on YouTube when it creates my own competition? Well, I said I would. That's really why I've been doing this. So for the past couple of years, I've been showing my growth and teaching you how I've done it with the point of proving something. You know, win or fail, you know, at the end of it all, you're gonna like see what I built or what I destroyed by accident. So this is my first like real opportunity to give you some context, like then and now. I wanna first start by showing you some data. Let me show you the incomes that we made June and July of 2017. This was roughly the time that I posted my first YouTube video showing you my multi-calendar, and I made the claim that I made $30,000 a month. Well, I did. Here it is. Now, that year, 2017, was like our first like significant growth year. The goal was to get to 10 properties by when the Super Bowl happened in February 2017. We wanted to have 10 properties. We made like $15,000 that weekend in Houston, which was really wicked cool. And that's when I'm like, you know what, this is some serious stuff. Let me keep it up. Well, I didn't really grow much from there, but I did like grow my incomes because I had 10 properties. So we started making like $30,000 in the peak season. And then after that first couple of videos I did, I added a couple more properties. And so December 2017, when I published that video, whether or not you should buy a home for equity or cash flow, and my whole hook here was that there's a third option, which is to not buy. I did that video because my friend Sean Ray inspired me to, because he was having this debate with a friend. Well, needless to say, that video went viral, like we talked about. And at that time, that month, I made just over $40,000 that month. So that was where we were at the point that I shot that video. And I want to show you how far we have or have not come since, right? So let's look at the whole year. And you can actually see a lot of cool data from this year-long chart. You can actually see where we were January 2017, pretty small. February, you see some growth, and you see like ups and downs. Certain months are better than others in Houston, and this is just a Houston-only chart. We finished the year at about $359,000. So that was and you can see some growth, right? We were plotting some growth there. This is when I decided, December, to really kind of try to prove a point. I started to aggressively grow the business out of pocket. And let me tell you what you have to do to grow a business out of pocket. You have to have more cash. After doing everything that the business does, than your expenses were, right? So you have to have free cash flow, right? That free cash flow can then get invested into the business again. Now, this is important because in our world, rental arbitrage, you have to pick up properties, you pay rent, and you have to buy furniture. If you don't have free cash to buy furniture, then you can't really grow, can you? You could argue that you could finance furniture and like get a deferment on your rent, and if you're making enough little extra on the top on those, you could be paying down your furniture costs. But again, that's still profitability in a way that allows you to pay for that furniture. If your operating expenses were equal to your revenues, you couldn't afford new furniture. So how much I've grown here is based on how much profit we were able to generate coming out of 2017 into 2018. I saved up probably $50 to $70, maybe $80,000 by May of 2018. I was living in Houston at the time, still doing videos, bopping around Houston at coffee shops like Siphon Coffee and stuff like that, and showing you guys different things and trying to be motivational and be a YouTuber. Well, we decided to grow. I moved to Dallas in May of 2018 to pick up a property. I basically spent 3 weeks wrenching together furniture and watching Game of Thrones, and that was my jam into Dallas. So 2018 was a fun growth year. We had a surprise at a building where we moved in, bought all the furniture, set it up, started making money, but then we had a dispute with the building. We had to move out and move. And that cost me about $40,000 or $50,000. And that was a big setback. Now, I want to tell you that that setback of $40,000 or $50,000, it may not be what you think. You see, there's different types of costs, and some of that cost was cost of moving and stuff like that, new down payments for rents or deposits, but the main chunk of cost here was the 2 weeks of downtime from taking the furniture out, moving it, setting up, and going live again. That 2 weeks of downtime cost us like revenue, right? So we essentially lost $40,000 or $50,000 as a combination of deposits, moving expenses, and what I would call opportunity cost. We lost the ability to generate cash for a couple of weeks, or I think as much as 20 days on some of our units. It was really kind of disheartening, and it made 2018 kind of a weird year because I was like, we're gonna grow and we're gonna jam. And I hit my first big obstacle where I had a building kind of get in my face where I thought I could never lose, and it kind of went south. But the building had a non-compete clause with another company like mine, and that's why we ended up in the situation we did. That almost took me off course. I almost decided to kind of just take it easy and not continue growing. So I did. I did kind of make some changes. I was working more in my media company for a bit, but I kind of came back around and got motivated again, and we kind of shored up that issue and fixed it. And then a few months later, we decided to pick up some more properties, and we started heavily investing into Dallas. I remember it was Christmas of last year, so exactly a year ago. I was picking up properties at one building that's off of Cedar Springs in Dallas, just north of Uptown. And now we only picked up a few, and we've kind of grown organically with that relationship from the building. And now we have 11 properties at that building. It was then the turn of 2019, coming into 2019. So that was Christmas 2018 that we're picking up buildings there, or apartments there. So the turn of 2019, let's take a look. How much money were we making? I'll have to actually get a little downtime. 1 second, let me pull up my laptop. Come on in.
Sorry, sold, so you have to be out of here.
Okay.
$595, right?
Yep. Okay. Give me 20 minutes. At the end of 2018, when I'm picking up these extra properties, let me show you how much I made on the same account. This same account for 2018, we made $855,000 on this one account. But what's interesting about this, I think at this point we actually picked up another, we made another account to start adding new properties to. So I'm going to log into that one here, and we can show you how much I made in 2018 on my second account at the time, because there's extra incomes here. So at the end of 2018, we still had one account almost until just the winter. And so that one account that had made $359,000 in 2017, that account made over $855,000 that year. But right at the end, you can see there's it starts to dip down. We started to split our listings into two separate accounts because we had an issue where Airbnb didn't pay us $50,000. And when Airbnb doesn't pay you that much money, it can cause you to lose it. Obviously you can not pay your rent, so you could go out of business if you have the amount of liabilities that we do. So we decided to get responsible and pretty much cut that out and split our accounts. So we made $855,000 on one account, and then about $60,000 on this second account. So we went from making $359,000 in 2017 to making a little bit over $900,000 in 2018. And we grew from about 20, or for basically 12 doors to growing to over 20, maybe 25 doors in Houston, and then adding somewhere near 20 doors in Dallas, and then 6 doors in Fort Worth. So we ended up at almost 50 doors, I think, by the end of 2018. Coming into 2018, I know that we were floating at 50-something doors, probably in the spring. So that leads us into 2019. So let me set this computer down. So essentially, we were spending about $5,000 per door on growth. And so from 2017, where we were making $40,000 a month, and we finished with that $360 for the year, we then invested in about another $250,000 into new units over the course of 2018. So I lived off the business. I've never not spent money. I've never slowed down on things that I like to do. I've never been financially frugal. I've done, and I've lived my life. I've lived a very happy life. And so 2018, I put $250,000 back into the business roughly. And that $250,000 grew us from $360 a year to $900,000. And again, you can see that there's growths in these charts, right? So this brings us into 2019, which is when we expanded into Philadelphia here. So I'm still hot on this track that I'm trying to pretty much prove to the world that you don't have to buy a home, that you can just rent, furnish, and re-rent. 2019's been a fun year because it's been much more competitive. There's big players in the game now. There's people doing like press releases on companies like Sonder being worth over $1 billion, and Lyric and Zeus and all these companies getting funded by companies like Airbnb. Airbnb themselves is putting money into competitors like mine. I get to Philadelphia in February. I pick up a media account with the Philadelphia Inquirer to help them build their audience. And so I start adding properties in Philadelphia starting in about May. I pick up a building, and that building reneges an agreement with us on giving us the second month of rent free for all of our apartments. That was the video I did where I talk about getting sued. I'm still going through that, and I can finally tell you that essentially what happened is we negotiated where we did not pay all this extra money that they wanted from us, and then we moved out. But now that we're moved out and we're safe, we're going to be suing them for damages. That was Philadelphia's hurdle. And what's really funny is when we first got to Dallas, that one building kicked us out. And then when we first got to Philly, this one building tried to pull some game. And we ended up recently moving out of that one probably in October. And that fall, the last 90 days. So what is that, October, November, December, these last 90 days, we basically doubled our inventory. We went from 53 properties to now we're at 99, and we're picking up a few more first of the year. We should be at 102 to 110 properties before February. And I think that's going to be it for growth for a while. We're going to start working on operations. From 2017, when I shot this video about whether or not you should buy, and I dedicated to just out of pocket, adding Airbnb properties, roughly $4,000 to $6,000 at a time, we've invested probably near $500,000 into picking up properties, because 90 properties at $5,000 a piece is $450,000. We've invested about $500,000 into growth or more, and we now have almost 100 properties. I think we have 99. We have 33 here in Philadelphia. We have 41 in Houston, Dallas. So we have 41 in Dallas, Fort Worth, and then we have about 25 in Houston. We now have 4 income generating accounts, and we're about to have a 5th, and those accounts on Airbnb alone have made $1.8 million. So we have doubled in cash flow from 2018 to 2019. We're on pace to make $3 million next year without having to add any more properties. See, we've been advertising these certain milestones, and what's great about this is we've had this continuous growth pattern. And the moment you're making more than $166,000 a month, you're making $2 million a year. You just need another 84, $245,000 a month to make $3 million a year. Turn of the year, we are adding our properties on Booking.com and making other non-Airbnb revenue that's also non-direct, because we also do a lot of direct bookings that are off-platform. And so you're going to be seeing a lot of really fun new videos this year, because we're going to start talking about Booking.com. We're going to start talking about HomeAway and Expedia. We're going to start talking about direct marketing your listings and all the stuff that you need to do to stay relevant in 2020. But the point of this video, that all aside, is that you can take less than $10,000. You can take less than $5,000. You can put it into an apartment. You can manage it. You can take that cash. You can reinvest it into new furniture. If you negotiate your deals well, to get free rent up front, you get your money back faster, and you could snowball this, and you can get more and more properties. And I took less than $5,000, and in basically 4 years, I built it to cash flow $3 million a year. I've got 100 properties with a $5,000 investment. So 2 years later from this video, does it work? Was I full of it? Was I just some guy in a cheap suit and an ugly Xenia tie? No, I wasn't just some guy just spitting game for the sake of getting views. We did the video, I dedicated to the cause, I put 2 years behind it, and we had some serious growth, and now we have some serious cash flow. And as I just told you, I just doubled my inventory in the last 90 days. So do I still believe in Airbnb? Do I still believe in rental arbitrage? Damn straight I do. So if you have questions or video like requests, you want more content on certain stuff, because 2020 we're going to start widening what we talk about with this. If you have requests, put it in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your guys' experiences, hosts out there. A lot of you guys are new to the game, but there's some OG hosts out there. So add your experiences in the comments. So people who are like really looking at this as an opportunity to change their lives, they'd love to hear from you too. So all of you, thank you so much for watching Airbnb Automated. I'll see you in 2020, of course, and as always, I'll see you on the other side.